when presidents of both parties have hit some speed bumps, uh, the media goes crazy and says perils of Pauline, the whole thing's collapsing around their ankles. I remember when I covered Bill Clinton. I think it was Bill Clinton. They put him on the cover of Time magazine, the incredible shrinking president. So
Covered.
this is the nature of coverage of presidencies, but particularly for Donald Trump, the media is just always looking to say. So we're in one of those phases now, and here's the Washington Post headline, which is typical of the tone of the current coverage in the dominant media. Number one, please, Sam. I will read it. Trump faces resistance in MAGA movement over immigration. Epstein, the rare criticism showed the limits of the president's authority over the America First agenda and raised some GOP concern about enthusiasm ahead of the midterms. I could give you other examples, but Ashley, is this administration in crisis? The polling suggests it's not the high point of his time, but is how would you, if you worked in the Trump White House and the president said, Ashley, how are things going? What would you say?
I would say it's time to recalibrate. You've got a situation where on Tuesday, voters sent a clear message up and down the ballot, a clear rejection of Trump's economic agenda and his failed economy. We've seen what was his coalition coming out of the 2020 election. 2024 election kind of wither away. I mean, you saw it in New Jersey with, in the counties that were heavily Latino. Many of those voters are now swinging back to the Democratic Party. Now, will that hold? I'm not really sure, but it was a clear message that voters were sending to the president. NBC had this poll that said 70% of voters are going to the polls to send a message to the president. And again, it was a strong, forceful one. So here's why you need to recalibrate. One, I don't see the economy turning around. By their own admission, the administration has said that they're in the middle of a recession, that inflation is too high, that costs are too high. This is their own admission. And so there's no plan to sort of address that. And that, I think, is going to be a concern for the president. As much as he tried to, the other factor I would say stood out to me is that in areas in Virginia, for example, where they tried to use their sort of typical playbook, using their wedge issues from transgender issues to the issue of crime, did not work this time. It did not work. I mean, people were voting on the economy. So that would be my message to the president. We've got to figure out how to recalibrate.
Thank you for that. Kristen, the press has no patience for any president blaming his or her someday predecessor. And for a while, the president wasn't doing that. But today, the administration seemed to go back to that. And the polls show clearly who's responsible for the economy, overwhelmingly Trump, not Biden. Here's the vice president, a preview of his interview with Sean Hannity tonight, blaming Biden. Number four, please.
Know that there are a lot of people out there, Sean, who are saying things are expensive. And we have to remember they're expensive because we inherited this terrible inflation crisis from the Biden administration. But you've already seen signs that things are getting better. The price of eggs has gone way down. The price of energy has gone way down. The price of gasoline has gone way down. And as we know, when the price of energy goes down, that starts to filter out into the entire economy, but that also takes a little bit of time. There's another component of this, Sean, which to me is maybe the most important because I care so much about our young people being able to afford a good life. A lot of young people are saying housing is way too expensive. Why is that? Because we flooded the country with 30 million illegal immigrants who were taking houses that ought by right go to American citizens. And at the same time, we weren't building enough new houses to begin with, even for the population that we had. So what we're doing is trying to make it easier to build houses, trying to make it easier to build factories and things like that so that people have good jobs. We're also getting all of those illegal aliens out of our country, and you're already seeing it start to pay some dividends.
All right, Krista, before you weigh in and say whether you agree with Ashley, he needs a recalibration. Here's Kevin Hassett, head of the Economic Council, up in theory to be head of the Fed, also blaming Joe Biden. Number five, please.
Bottom line is that when Joe Biden and the Democrats were running the country over the last 4 years, The typical American family lost $3,400 worth of their purchasing power. And already in President Trump's first few months of this year, then people have gained about $1,200 of it back. And so we understand that people still feel the pain from the deep hole that Biden's policies dug, but we're making up progress. We're making up progress fast. And you had a clip of Secretary Bessent, my good friend, a little bit later saying that we're going to close the gap and fill the hole that Biden dug relatively quickly. We see really high wage growth, and inflation is much more under control.
So, Kristen, where are you? Do you agree with Ashley of recalibration, or is just blaming Joe Biden until they hope the economy gets better good enough?
Well, the blame part is not new to this administration. I used to keep a tally, even in the second Obama term, how many times he blamed George W. Bush for
Yeah.
problems. So this is, typical. It's nothing new, and it's
Yep.
factual. I mean, presidents do inherit what came before them. I think the last clip is probably closer to where we need to be. It's not a full calibration. I think that you can do both. I think you can acknowledge the fact that the previous administration got us into a really, really bad hole. And that's why you elected President Trump. That's why you elected, JD Vance. And I think there's a nuance here that really Trump has always done so well. And that's where voters, hear Trump and they feel like he feels their pain. So there needs to be a nuance here where it's, yes, we were in a deep hole. We've already, started filling that hole, but we understand that you're still hurting a little bit. We know that. We know that, you're going to be Christmas shopping and maybe buy, one toy, not two. We understand. So we know we have a long way to go, but we've already made some progress. I think there's a nuance there. Maybe it's not Trump himself, but someone needs to, kind of show that, we still hear you. We've only been in office for less than a year. The hole that was dug is probably, is one that would take mountains to move, and we've already come so far, but we know we have a long way to go because we will not stop until every American citizen has the opportunity to live a better life. I think that's the nuance there.
Yeah. Kristen, in my head, I'm imagining all the people I know at the White House who watch this show every evening scribbling notes furiously and saying, we just saved 80 grand. We don't need to pay Kristen a cent for recalibration. So really, really good. Cozy Earth products, they're having a crazy sale now, 40% off Cozy Earth, the bubble cuddle blanket, the sheets, the towels. I've had my towels now for over a week, and they're a revelation and a revolution, both. And of course, the bubble cuddle blanket, luxury, combination of comfort and style. Right now, you can get 40% off everything on the site. Black Friday, come early. This won't last, so go to cozyearth.com. Use the promo code TWOWAY for 40% off. Wrap the ones you love in luxury with Cozy Earth. And always have to plug the pants, because every time I put the pants on, I'm reminded they're really the only pair of pants I'd like to wear. So please do yourself a favor. Go to cozyearth.com. Promo code TWOWAY for an extraordinary 40% off. The sale will not last forever. cozyearth.com, promo code TWOWAY. They say that something that's easy is like a walk in the park. Well, easier than a walk in the park, hit the subscribe button, be part of the Two-Way community, never miss an episode, be part of our conversations. Thank you for your service to America. And don't forget, you can now listen to the Morning Meeting and Two-Way Tonight on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.